Coach Chris here with another video. Today I want to talk about my 5 tips for altering your mindset. And why would you want to alter your mindset? We want to alter your mindset to stay healthy, to have a youthful appearance, to be in control of your life and your reality, to feel the way you want to feel. So there's 5 major points, but today I'm just going to talk about one of those points. And then I'll make 4 more videos and talk about each of the other 4 points individually. So I'm going to go in a little more detail because I've talked about this in the past, but I'm going to spend a little more time about it today. What am I talking about? I just told you. Time. Time. Time does not exist, or at least I don't identify with time the way most people do. I know time is a social agreement. I have clients that I train and we decide to meet at a certain time. So from that perspective, it's a tool that we use to make sure that we align and are able to meet at the time we designate. The time in itself, if you remember what Einstein said, time is an illusion, albeit a very persistent one, but it's still an illusion. So it means you have to do some thinking about this to understand what he's talking about. And in order to shift from believing in time to not believing in time, excuse me, it takes a paradigm shift. And a paradigm shift is a shift in some huge belief or way that you live your life. And so, but basically, it's a really huge shift from one way of thinking to another way of thinking or saying something. And so, in order to go from saying time exists to saying time doesn't exist, that's a paradigm shift. And you need a lot of like evidence or just something that's strong enough to make you shift from that current belief of time to not believing in time. Now, why would you not want to believe in time in the first place? Well, time, as I said earlier, it's a social agreement. We use it to align with other people, and basically that's mainly it. Or align with like some programs coming on TV. It's coming on at a certain time, so you know when to turn your TV on or turn the channel if you're already watching TV. But time is a construct. And so when we identify with the construct of time, then it can affect our experience and our experience of this life that we're living and also this physical / energetic being that we are. Because people celebrate birthdays, and birthdays are a measurement of time. But that's for another video. I want to stick to the time thing here. When you think about what time is it right now, you look at a clock or watch or your phone or whatever, and it's going to say it's a certain time. All of these instruments are aligned, universally, or at least globally. I don't know about universally, but globally anyway. And so there are different time zones. Well, let's just say whatever city you're in. I'm in Chicago, so that's the central time zone. And so as I said earlier, when you ask what time it is, you look at your phone or your watch or whatever, and you say, oh, it's 4 o'clock, oh, it's 4:30, whatever it happens to be. But think about this for a second. It's just a number that we have assigned. I don't even know if that's the right way to put it, but let me try to explain this. I'll start by saying that, but then I'll try to give another view of this. But let's just say that. So we say it's 4:30, but in actuality, it's always now. It's always now. So in order to discern from the now that was earlier to the now that's going to be maybe a little later, because it's going to be now. Every second that you're experiencing this, having this experience of life, is always now. But what now is it? So we can say it's the now that was 4:30, it's the now that was 8 a.m., it's the now that's 10 p.m. But again, that's a way of thinking, and you have to kind of look at how you look at things from the standpoint that it can be looked at differently. Meaning, the way I feel about it is like I'm having an experience, and it's just an experience. There's nothing really tied to it. We, as humans, can tie things to things, just like we can make something mean something. For example, if somebody says something to you or somebody does something, like when you're driving, does something crazy or whatever, we don't necessarily have to assign a meaning to that behavior or what was said. It just is an action. So I don't want to drift too far off the time thing, but again, so with time, it's the same thing. We assign a designated number that we've all agreed upon. The thing about it is, did we really agree upon this? I mean, we came here, and obviously whatever the structures and systems that are in place are, they were in place when we got here. And so we had to learn them in order to, I guess you could say, function and coexist and produce whatever we would desire to do in life. We had to, like, for example, when we got here, school is one of the things we have to do, and there's time, and there's the financial system, and there's history, and there's science, and there's religion, and blah 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 blah. But all these things are already established. I'm going to stay the course. I'm not going to weave too far off. I'll talk about all this stuff because I love talking about it, and I'm sure we've all thought about these things. But again, so the time is something that's established already for us. So we just kind of, when I say it, so I say it was a social construct, meaning society constructed this, and it's something that we accept as truth. But just because society deems something to be, or even deems it to be true, doesn't necessarily mean it is. Or more importantly, what is truth? Because all of us have our own truths, depending on what we're talking about. What's true for one person might not be true for another person. It might not be true that, certain foods are unhealthy to one person, and to another person it might not be true that, they need to exercise every day. And so there's other examples of people's truths. Like, you can go more specific, like even like religions and things like that. What's true for some believers may not be true for other believers. And then if that's the case, what is the truth? Is it what's said here? Is it what's said there? Is it somewhere in between? All right, so back to time, because I'm going to stick on this topic. So time, as I said, when we look at a clock or a watch, and we're like, oh, it's 4:30, or it's 5 o'clock. What does that really mean? Think of it like this. If I took a picture of a huge, piece of land from maybe a helicopter, and then it's just a piece of land. In order to determine, distance and space from one part of the land to the other, imagine overlaying a grid. A grid. You know what a grid is? Lines going across and the lines coming down. And we lay that across the land, and now we say in line 5. So let's go 5 down, 6 across. That on that grid in that particular space, now that piece of land has a number based on the grid that's overlaid on top of it. But if you move the grid, there's no identifying any particular part of the land. I guess you could say, okay, well, there's 3 trees over there. It's the part where the trees are. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how we overlay the grid of, let's start at midnight and then go to midnight the next day. We overlay this grid of how we're going to identify the current moment of now with one of those numbers. Those numbers are just an overlay of what is the now. As I said, they're a tool that we use. Time actually really doesn't exist. It's a tool that we use. And so when you start identifying with this social construct, there are other effects, other consequences that can come from identifying with that and buying into that. So that's my first tip for having a strong, healthy mindset, a mindset that can help you to maintain, health and youth and peace of mind and feeling good. I think these things are all important. So the next video will be on my second tip for developing a strong, healthy, powerful mindset. Hope you found that video helpful. And please leave a comment. If you have something to say, I'm more than happy to hear what you have to say. And then if you don't agree, I want to hear that too. And let's have a discussion about this. I look forward to hearing from you people. Okay? So, share the knowledge and stay well. And I will talk to you again soon.